Well, welcome back, everybody. November is American Diabetes Month.
And so joining us now live in studio is registered dietitian Sarah Smith to talk about some healthy habits we can get into to avoid this condition.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here, Sarah. Now, remind us what diabetes is, and I know that there's a couple of forms as well.
Yeah, diabetes is a lifelong condition that affects how your body turns food into energy.
Okay.
And that's when your pancreas isn't producing enough insulin typically.
Okay.
So,
When you get diabetes, let me throw you a question real quick. If you get diabetes, can you get diagnosed or get rid of it, or no? Once you got it, you got it?
Typically, once you got it, you got it.
Okay.
Unless it's gestational diabetes, then that typically resolves after the baby is born. But our body breaks down the food we eat into sugar, especially carbohydrates like fruits, starchy vegetables, whole grains, and dairy. Then it releases it into the bloodstream. And when your blood sugar levels go up, then your pancreas is supposed to release the insulin, because the insulin is the cells. Your body has a lot of cells, and it's the key for entry into your cells for energy. So if you don't have enough insulin, or your pancreas isn't producing enough insulin, then too much sugar stays in your bloodstream and it kind of piles up per se, and then you develop diabetes potentially.
Which is not good for the body.
Right, not
There's a couple
good.
of different types as well. You mentioned gestational diabetes. That's really if women get pregnant, they can maybe get gestational diabetes. What are the other types?
Okay, Dr. Jorma.
I know. Well, but Natalie had gestational diabetes.
There we go.
You know what? She always talks about that being the worst 9 months of her life.
Yeah.
It was pretty tough on me too, because she was
Right.
gestational diabetic. So our diet
very strict,
Oh my
yes.
gosh,
Yeah.
gosh, it was not a good time at the household.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense now.
But there's also type 1 and type 2.
diabetes is an autoimmune potentially, and you're usually diagnosed, or some of you may have heard it called juvenile diabetes because you're diagnosed earlier in life, and type 2 is usually later in life because of obesity or different health conditions like that. But excessive thirst, hunger, urination, unintentional weight loss, those are some of the symptoms of developing diabetes.
Okay.
So
If you're getting these things right now, the things you see on your screen, it kind of could possibly mean you have diabetes.
potentially, yep.
Okay.
So always making sure that you're having your annual physical with your physician or getting checked out when you think you have some of those symptoms is going to be helpful so that you can catch it early. Because if you let it go on and let the sugar pile up in your blood, your kidneys can be affected. You can go blind because your vision gets so bad.
Yeah,
you
which
can have
is-
numbness and tingling in your feet.
Yeah, which is pretty good to know when you're going into the holiday season to kind of just be on the healthier side. You don't want to indulge too much because diabetes could be knocking on the door.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. Well, she's dropping knowledge this morning, and in the next half hour, we are going to learn about and take this information and then apply it to how we can stay away from being diagnosed with diabetes. So we'll see you in about 30 or so minutes.
Well, November is American Diabetes Month.
Yeah, and so joining us now live in studio is registered dietitian Sarah Smith to talk about some healthy habits we can get into to avoid this condition.
Yeah, Sarah, and you have, in our last half hour, we talked about what diabetes is, what forms of diabetes there are, but now we're going to talk about some healthy portions and how you can really keep yourself healthy.
Yeah, so this American Diabetes Association is a great resource for materials and recipes and different information if you're looking for different things to include in your diet to help prevent diabetes. But this is a perfect portioned plate per se, if you can see this very well, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
but
and that's a full
It looks
plate.
good. I'm starving right now.
it's a 9-inch diameter, so that's a typical size dinner plate that we should eat if we're going to practice portion control.
Okay.
So making half of our plate those non-starchy vegetables, and then a quarter of our plate maybe a whole grain or a starchy vegetable if you would prefer. And then the other quarter of our plate should be some sort of protein. So whether it's plant-based protein like beans or lentils, or you're going to include fish or chicken. But portion control is one of those ways to help prevent
That's
your
my problem. Portion control. I always go for seconds and thirds. We got some full screen information to kind of show you what you're talking about in terms of, well, this was some of the other ways that you can try to stay away from getting diabetes, correct?
Yep, so again, with planning your portions, so you're gonna have a healthier body weight that way, and including lots of physical activity. And then you wanna make sure that you're always seeing your physician every year so that you know your risk factors, including your lab values and other metabolic conditions that you may have. So like I've already mentioned, including whole grains, you're gonna have more fiber in your diet. And believe it or not, fiber helps to maintain that blood sugar stabilization along with protein. It helps you stay fuller longer and stabilizes your blood sugar, and including the low-fat dairy and fruits and vegetables. So
And the added sugars, stay away from added sugars. I've been really kind of looking at that. It's crazy when you look at the nutritional stuff on things. added sugars are
Yeah.
just
His kids
over the
aren't
top.
happy about that. When
Yeah,
it comes
no,
to
they don't like
breakfast
me right now.
cereal.
Well,
And food for thought, in a 20-ounce regular pop, I'm not going to say whatever specific pop
Yeah.
it is, but there's about 75 grams of sugar or 17 teaspoons of sugar, added sugar.
Oh boy.
There you
So
go.
there's
Yeah.
quite a bit.